Anastasia, I had the strangest experience early this morning, and it's been bothering me. Like, I almost tried to forget it, but then it just kept resurfacing.
Oh, really? That sounds intriguing and a little unsettling. What happened? Was it a dream or something else entirely?
That's the thing. I woke up, or at least my eyes opened, and everything was just white. Not just a bright room, but like a pure blinding white. And I thought for a second there was a face right there, in front of me. It was so vivid, almost like it was in a different dimension, or maybe purely neurological, a trick of the mind. But it felt so real.
Wow, a whiteout with a face. That's incredibly vivid. Do you think it could have been one of those hypnagogic hallucinations where your mind plays tricks as you're waking up or falling asleep? Or perhaps something more spiritual given your interest in meditation?
See, that's what I'm grappling with. My first thought for a fleeting second was, oh, it's an alien. Which is wild, right? It wasn't like seeing a squirrel or a pigeon. It felt profoundly other. And I've been doing some of that heartfulness meditation lately, focusing on a deeper connection. Sometimes when I meditate, even with my eyes closed, I see this bright light, almost celestial, behind me to the right. It makes you wonder if there's a connection there between the internal spiritual work and these external seeming phenomena.
It definitely blurs the lines, doesn't it? Our minds are so powerful, capable of generating such intense experiences. But then when you couple it with something like meditation, which is all about tuning into different states of consciousness, it adds another layer. You mentioned that religious woman you speak to, who says it's all inside you, the spiritual stuff. Maybe this was your internal landscape manifesting in a really dramatic way.
Could be. But then she also talks about the physical and the spirit as two separate dimensions. If it's all internal, what does that say about people who feel like they've been abducted or have a mind-to-mind connection with something external? Did they ever actually leave the room, or was it an internal simulation so real it felt like a different reality? It makes you question what reality itself even is, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a fascinating thought experiment. The idea that our consciousness can generate or perceive realities beyond our immediate physical senses. And the whiteout, rather than a blackout, is particularly unusual. Usually our eyes adjust to light, not get overwhelmed by it in a dark room. It makes it even more curious.
Exactly. Usually a sudden light after darkness would cause a blackout or shadows. This was like pure, undifferentiated whiteness, almost like staring into a void of light. I closed my eyes, and when I reopened them, it was just the normal dark room. It was gone. It really felt like a snapshot from somewhere else.
What a way to start the day, Peter. I can see why that stuck with you. But speaking of creating and exploring different realities, I know you've been deep into your AI music experiments. Has any of this mind-bending stuff influenced your creative work?
Funnily enough, not directly that whiteout, but the idea of blending disparate elements, pushing boundaries, that's definitely at play. I've been really focused on AI music, experimenting with different models and mixing them across. For example, with Halloween approaching, I did something called Zombietopia, a track where I blended the undead theme with, well, a love letter, like if your partner turned into a zombie, but there was still this underlying complicated relationship.
That's brilliant! A zombie love letter! I'm picturing something melancholic but also a little unsettling. What kind of sound did that create? Was it more eerie or surprisingly tender?
It's a mix, honestly. I was thinking of that series, Brains or something, where someone's significant other is a zombie, but the love is still there, just with different dietary requirements? So the AI helped craft something that had these haunting melodies, but with lyrics that were surprisingly emotional, almost yearning. Like, can't I just have your brains? I just want to be your first. It's a dark twist on intimacy.
That's incredibly creative. I love the concept. It really plays with those primal emotions, even in such an unusual context. How do you find working with AI as a creative partner? Do you feel like you're still completely in control, or does the AI sometimes take you in unexpected directions?
It's a dialogue, really. Sometimes it gives me exactly what I expect, and other times it throws a curveball that makes me rethink the whole piece. It's like having a very talented, slightly unpredictable co-composer. I also draw inspiration from the games I've been playing, things like Helldivers, where the enemies look like Terminators crossed with Warhammer 40k elements, or the dropships from Space 1999. Those visual and atmospheric influences feed into the mood of the music I'm trying to generate, even if it's not a direct translation.
So, it's about curating and guiding the AI, almost like a conductor. That's a really interesting way to approach music production. It sounds like you're constantly exploring new frontiers, whether it's the nature of reality, artistic expression, or even the future of our economies.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of economies, I've also been keeping a close eye on the crypto market. We're entering what they call a bull run, and it's always fascinating to watch how it plays out. I've got a couple of wallets, and it's that constant dance of risk and reward. Should you take profits or hold on? There have been times I could have doubled my money if I'd just timed it perfectly, but that risk of it shooting up after you pull out is just too much.
It's a high-stakes game, isn't it? That fear of missing out or FOMO is a powerful driver in those markets. But you mentioned the plan and the broader economic cycle. What's your take on what's driving this and what might be coming next?
Well, typically, you see central banks reducing rates, which inflates the market. People move their assets around, some of it flows into crypto, and that starts to run up prices. That's the typical cycle. But what if that changes? What if they decide, hang on, we're not going to inflate the market this time. We're going to reset it entirely.
A complete reset, that's a big concept. Are you talking about things like universal basic income or a more radical shift in how we value labor and wealth?
Potentially, imagine a system where everyone gets universal credits, but it's based on merit or qualifications. You get paid credits based on your performance, your achievements, maybe your university degrees. The challenge there, though, is how do you prevent people from slipping down the ladder or getting penalized unfairly? You can't just have a system where everyone only goes up.
That's a really interesting and potentially dystopian thought. Merit-based credits could create a very stratified society where worth is constantly being judged by an algorithmic system. It sounds like a hyper-efficient but perhaps very unforgiving economy. And what about those who don't perform in traditional ways or have skills that aren't easily quantifiable?
Exactly. And it ties into another theory I came across recently. The larger the population, the smaller the nation. Meaning, as population density increases, countries become more divided into distinct sections. The infrastructure just can't cope. Think about Russia. It's a huge country, but it's also a country of countries, with places like St. Petersburg and Moscow being culturally distinct. What happens when areas become so dense that they essentially become their own sovereign states, or at least culturally distinct entities?
That makes a lot of sense. We see it even in cities where different boroughs or neighborhoods develop their own unique identities, almost like micronations within a larger urban area. But the idea of nations themselves fragmenting due to population pressure, that's quite a geopolitical shift. What happens then when populations shrink?
Then regions might merge with stronger neighboring regions. It's almost like a natural rebalancing act. And this connects to the immigration issues we see, like in the UK. Are immigrants plugging gaps in the workforce, or are people simply seeking places where they don't have to work as hard or where they feel they can get away with more? I sometimes wonder if it's less about escaping persecution and more about finding a country with a more lenient social welfare system.
That's a pretty cynical view, Peter. While it's true some may seek out systems with better benefits, I think for many, immigration is a complex decision, often driven by a genuine need for safety, opportunity, or a better life. It's rarely a single, simple motivation. But the point about infrastructure and regional identity is really salient. As the world becomes more interconnected, but also more densely populated, these internal divisions and cultural distinctiveness might become even more pronounced.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's definitely multifaceted. It's just wild to think about how all these different threads, from a strange neurological experience to the future of AI and the macro trends in economy and population, all intersect and influence our perception of reality and what's next. It's a lot to ponder, isn't it?
It absolutely is. You've given us a lot to chew on today, Peter. From the deeply personal and mysterious to the broad societal and technological shifts. It's a reminder that our understanding of reality is constantly evolving, both internally and externally. Thanks for sharing all these incredible insights and experiences.
My pleasure, Anastasia. It's always good to explore these things, just put them out there. And hopefully, whatever that whiteout experience was, it leads to more interesting AI music, not just more bizarre wake-up calls. Until next time, take care, everyone.
Indeed, and thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey through Peter's mind and the world around us. Have a great one, and we'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.